Hi everyone and welcome to the ScrapFX YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a mix between a junk journal and a scrapbook page, and it's all inspired by the February new release from ScrapFX. This is a junk journal that I had a friend make for me and I absolutely adore it. It's a mix of lots of different scrapbooking pages, vellums, watercolor paper, you name it, all different shapes and sizes. And for some strange reason, this group of yellow pages really appealed to me. Now, yellow is not a colour I use at all, but it just really spoke to me. So I started out, I wanted to put this piece of scrapbook paper down, or collage tissue paper, and there's a piece of vellum in between. Now, I was really silly when I did this because I actually glued the vellum down onto the background and it made it all wrinkle and curl, and I really didn't like how it ended up, which in the end I actually ended up tearing out that page that I've just completed. So for this page, because the new release is all about sort of love and hearts and flowers, I decided to scrap some pages, some pictures I had from my wedding. And there were leftover prints that I had that haven't sort of made it anywhere. They're just sort of extra bits and pieces, but I really like some of the prints. So I decided to play around and put them into this journal. I'm starting off with using the Nature Transparency from ScrapFX in the background, just to add some text to that yellow page and to break it up somewhat. And I do love using text when I work, whether it's in scrapbook pages or in journals. So I've got the piece of scrapbook paper with the lemons on it. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with the page, more to do with the fact I just like the colour combination, the background, the black and the yellow. So I'm using the ScrapFX chipboard pieces, We Belong Together, and the scribbly hearts just to frame over the pictures I have, and I coloured them using a white Posca paint pen. Really simply, I just wanted that pop of white on the page. So what I'm going back in now is to, on the back of that little short page, I want to make sort of like this flip book, so you're going through and seeing different journals. So it's a great way to have multiple photos on one page. I'm just being really careful to line up the photos so they all match up together, and sticking them down using double-sided sticky tape. So when I've done this, you can kind of see the picture peeking through from the other page, and I had this flourish heart that I wasn't originally going to use, but I decided I wanted to because in the bottom photo, the bit that I'm actually framing is the ring box that I made for our wedding. I just had to have something handmade within it. So it says, "Will you marry me?" and there was some space for the rings to be tied inside that, and my little nephew brought that down the aisle to us when we needed our rings. So it was nice to have my niece and nephew, my two children, involved in our wedding because it was a very small affair. So I'm just colouring it white with paint pen, and I put some extra white ink over the top just to make it really translucent, not translucent, opaque, sorry. And I decided I want to add in some yellow just to again tie it into the page, because this page, while you can see the yellow from the first page, doesn't have any on the right hand side. So I just did some accents with the little flower hearts, and I decided just to put a thin line of the yellow in the heart as well, just to sort of help with that framing aspect of the page. So once I've got that all done, I need to decide where to stick it down. And I'm just using Connect glue from Gina K Designs, which is an American company. I haven't seen that glue here. It is, I think, just a PVA in a really great applicator. However, it is really sticky and it glues everything down. It's really fun. I haven't had it clog yet. So here I am being brave and just tearing out that page, which I really didn't like, and being even more brave and tearing out another page and sticking it back into my journal. So this is actually the matching page with the scrapbook paper. What I decided to do is, because it was a little bit too yellow having that big chunk, is to cut it down to the size of the little flap with the yellow and then put that text back in again, just so I've got that continuing of the text and the yellow on each page. And I'm really glad I did it like that. It helped seal the whole page together. Now I was going to try and be clever and glue it in such a way that I could use the back of that page again in some way, shape or form, but I decided not to and just glued it down to the ledger paper that was there. It also made it a little bit more secure because obviously since I'd torn the page out of my journal, that while it fitted in quite snugly, it could have fallen out of any page. So now all I've done is found 2 more photos to put on this page just to try and finish it off. And I chose some photos that deliberately had a lot of blank space on it because I decided I wanted to journal about the day on the photos. And it's something I've been doing a lot with in my scrapbooking at the moment, is actually journaling on top of my photos. I don't know why. I think that's maybe my art journaling side of me coming out instead of my scrapbooker. But it just adds that little bit of extra interest to the pages and to the photos. And I thought because I had so many photos in this sort of layout already, that it didn't matter if I journaled over some of them, even though I'm sort of keeping the focus of us there on the day. So I'm just sort of journaling about the day and the photos, and it was ridiculously hot and we got covered in flies, and the poor photographer had to, I think, spend hours blotting out the flies in Photoshop. So for this one on my husband's tuxedo, I decided that I would journal in white. So again, you're sort of getting that contrast of the black and white and doing it in the same way. And this is one of my favorite ways to journal, is to just draw random curly lines and just write in capital letters to the size of the line. The reason I like to do that is it helps make the text or the journaling a pattern more so than actual journaling, so it sort of blends in with the background. And while it's easily read when you sit there and read it, when you just look at the page, it kind of looks more like doodling or a pattern in the background. So I enjoy that aesthetic when I'm doing my work, and I do a lot of it in my art journaling pages as well. So I'm using a Posca paint pen on both of these, which is a permanent marker. It's filled with acrylic ink or acrylic paint, so it works really, really well over stick surfaces such as a photo. And the white is, again, very opaque and it doesn't smear. So if you're careful, you can see I am using a little bit of scrap paper under my hand so I don't smear those lines in case they are a little bit wet still. But it wasn't an issue in the end, and it worked really well. I'm just finishing off my journaling now, and then sticking them down the page. Now, one of the things I did try and do, and I didn't do too bad a job on it, was to actually try and match it up so it was in exactly the same place as the other photos. So it would look like when you first opened the page that it was just that double spread, but when you turn the page you get a surprise because there's an extra 4 photos there that you didn't expect to see. And just to blend it all in the background. You can see the page slightly shift so you can see the background as well. So as I was going around, I decided that while I really liked it, it just needed something a little bit more. And I've had these glittery stickers sort of sitting around for a long time, and I thought if I had something peeping through from the background, you would realize that there was something behind. So I decided to use this word love. And then I decided, because I had the little flap that was hidden, I could use 2 words. So I used the love. So I think I've got sweet love, and I can't remember what the other one was. And I put the little heart bow on it as well, just to add a little bit of glitz to the flourish. I really can't remember what I put down. It's going to be a surprise for all of us when it comes up. Chimed love, there you go. So I suppose I could have been a bit more creative and come up with my own words, but I cheated and used the ones that were on the thickers, and they fitted in beautifully. So when you flip over, you can get the chimed love and the sweet love on the next page. So here are a number of close-ups of the different pages. The Scrap FX chipboards just added so much to us as framing items, and in each photo they framed something really important to me, whether it be my husband's hand or my bouquet, or that little piece of art that we did to carry the rings down. So it was really important to have that, and to recognize it in some way, but I'm glad I did it in this way instead of on a 12 by 12 sort of layout. I like the interactive nature of it. Thank you so much for tuning in. All the details and all the products will be listed in the blog post below, and details for that will be in the description. So just hit that and you will find out where to go. Until next time, bye for now.